Jai Jinendra. Welcome to Adults Class 2, Practical Applications of Jainism. Let's start with the Navkar mantra. Namo Arihantanam, Namo Siddhanam, Namo Ayaryanam, Namo Ujayanam, Namo Lore Savasamnam, Eso Panchanamo Karo Sava Pava Panasano Mangalanam Chasavesim Paramam Have Mangalam. I have a confession to make. I have been a bad parent lately. My youngest one needs her passport renewed, and I have just put it off. I found a reason to put it off for months now, and they're all good reasons. During the week, I say, I'll get to it on the weekend. And during the weekend, I have so much stuff to do that it just goes to the back. And then it never gets to the top of my list. And it's so complicated, right? I have to fill out the form. We have to go get the pictures done. We have to make the appointment because it's not one that we can renew online. And then we have to go to the thing. And I could do it in any order. But my brain is like, no, you need to fill out the form first. And I know I need to make the appointment first because it's like weeks away, right? And I can do all the stuff in the meantime. But my brain says, no, you have to do it in this order. And because I have to fill out the form first and I can never get to it, then I just haven't done it. And this is a problem. We are a soul trapped in a human being's body, but we have to contend with the human being's brain, which is not good at tackling slow-moving targets or long-term projects or things with consequences that are far away. I'm lucky this has a date. I know I'll get to it by the date before it expires. If it was something without a date, it would be game over. You know, there are things without a date that have been on my list. I have a list, right? And they've been on my list, and I move the list each like maybe couple weeks. I move the list. I make a new one. And they've just kept being on the top of the list. They just kept being there. I've just never gotten around to it because there's no date. And so there are a couple of reasons we struggle with these kind of long-term projects. One is that there's no feedback loop. Okay, our brains thrive on feedback loops, whether positive or negative. Okay, we want progress, we want praise, we want visible results, right? But our long-term projects, they don't offer any of that. Another reason is that when you work on something like that, the costs are immediate, but the benefits are further away. So any kind of time you spend, the discomfort you go through, like in the say exercise or whatever, or the effort that you make, that's all right now. And the benefit that you get is some time in the future. Maybe, if you're lucky, right? And so your brain doesn't want to do these things. It knows the cost-benefit ratio and it says it's not worth it, right? Another thing is that it is hard, it takes willpower to keep on with these long-term projects, right? And it's hard to stay connected to the problem unless the cons of the problem keep happening to you. It's hard to stay emotionally connected with the future self that is going to get the benefits. That's a stranger to you. You don't know that person. You don't know if that person will even be alive, your future self. And you're trying to sacrifice for that stranger right now. Nobody's going to do that. I don't know that person. Why would I make this gigantic effort to help that person that I don't even know? So it's hard to stay connected with that person. And the fourth one is cognitive load. When we think about these projects, they sit in the back of our mind. And every weekend that passed, I was like, another weekend I didn't do this passport thing, and every day that passes, like, I have it on the list, I see it on the list, I didn't get to it, and it creates a negative feeling inside of me. And guess what? That's not the only long-term project I'm putting up. So I've got a whole bucket full of negative feelings about this stuff that I'm putting up, and I hate it, right? So it creates this kind of cognitive load of things, and then slowly starts to overwhelm you. Okay? So that's why we struggle with long-term projects. So how do we combat them? We're a soul trapped in a human being's body, and we're stuck with the human being's brain, unfortunately. Well, I guess it's the best one out there, but it's still not that great. And so, how do we hack our brain or trick our brain into doing the things that we want to do? There's a couple of ways. Well, first, tell me about your long-term projects that you're putting off. I told you about mine.
Plenty, man.
Yeah, plenty? Yeah.
Yes. We work through one at a time, of course. One of the projects that we do want to do, and is part of our yearly goals sheets every time we make it, is, for instance, once a month, walk through the house and prepare for donation items. Right? Simple stuff like that. First Saturday of every month, the whole family walks around it. Hasn't happened. Okay? Simple stuff like that, but it's not happening. So I can count many in the office area too.
Right.
We want to do certain types of presentation or certain types of group appreciation. You wait the entire year and the time has gone already.
Yeah.
Oh, next year I'm going to do it better.
Yeah.
It never happens. A lot of things like that.
Yeah, and one of the problems I noticed while I was noticing myself not doing this passport thing is things would come up that are higher priority. Like, oh, this thing in the house needs fixing. Oh, this thing needs, this emergency happened. Oh, my kid needs this, That would all they legitimately took priority over this passport project.
True.
And so it just didn't happen that day again. One more day that it didn't happen.
You just need to book an international trip for
Right.
I did the same thing. I need to do OCI for me, and then I had to take emergency trip in June to India, and then I just ended up getting one month visa, and now I have to go again in March. So I'm like, if I don't do my OCI by then, I have to redo the emergency visa again or e-visa again. But those things are hard. It takes so much time.
So let's talk about what we can do about it. The first thing we can do is we can break a long-term project up into different parts, and we can think of them like pieces or episodes or seasons of the project. You treat each part as a mini project of their own, right? So you create a deadline for this part. So like with my passport one, well, I need to fill out the form, I need to do the pictures, I need to make the appointment, I need to go to the appointment. So that's 4 things, right? So I can just like choose one of the things, and maybe that makes it a little bit easier to accomplish. Another thing you can do is just counteract all the things that I said, right? So counteracting the no feedback loop is create a feedback loop. Even if it's not there already, you create one. You can use a visual tracker like a calendar to kind of keep track of the goal, and that's a feedback loop because that's fun. Because you move, you see the marker moving, right? And that's your feedback loop, right? You can treat yourself to a little reward. Don't use food as a reward. I've been there. Okay, don't do that. Do something else. Like you want to spend a certain amount of time on a hobby that you want. That's a great reward. You can create a feedback loop and do that. You can write it in a journal or something like that to make it the unreal real, right? Because it's kind of intangible benefits that we're looking for. And you want to make them real. So you make them real by doing something. You guys heard of chunking? Chunking is this thing where you kind of break things up into smaller pieces. And what happens is when you get an antibiotic or something like that, you have to take all of it. But what pharmacists notice is that once you start feeling better, you stop taking the medicine. And that's not good because you have to finish the course, right? And so what they decided was to do chunking. So you have pills you have to take for a month. So people were stopping after 20 days. So what they do is they color the pills into red, blue, green, and yellow. And then 1 week is red, 1 week is blue. It's the same pill, it's different colors. But you feel good. You're like, I beat red, Okay, I'm on to blue. And you're like, oh, blue's done, I only have 2 more. And you have, green is great. So they realized that compliance increased because of chunking. Nothing changed. It's all the same 30 pills. It's just a different color. So you can chunk the project And even if there's no natural chunk, you create an unnatural chunk that gives you the illusion of progress. And if you get the illusion of progress, that might help you. Another thing you can do is you can shrink the time that you have to do it, right? So a lot of times it's kind of these nebulous things. And so you can shrink the amount of time and say, what's the smallest thing I could do by tomorrow to work on this project, right? And that might be a good way to do it. Another thing we can do is we can, like I said about your future self, we can tie this activity to our future self and make it part of your identity. So instead of saying, well, I should be working on this long-term project, say, this long-term project is part of the person I am becoming. For example, I am the type of person that does this thing. I am the type of person that, in my case, I am a good parent. I am the type of person that is a good parent. And a good parent would do these things. And that might help me accomplish my goals. So I'm connecting with my future self. It's not a stranger anymore. Okay? It's actually somebody that will benefit. It's hard to do that. Have you ever done that? If you go out drinking and when you get home at night, you have 3 glasses of water and you're saying, I'm doing this for my future self. I know I'm gonna wake up with a hangover. I'm helping out my future self. I'm doing a solid for my buddy in the morning, me in the morning, right? It's the same thing, but maybe years into the future. You try to connect with that person. Questions or comments so far?
It's like forgive yourself first. That it is natural
Right.
to skip these things, and that happens. If you forgive first yourself, then it gets easier. That okay, I did these mistakes before, but now I can achieve what I want.
Absolutely.
Accept the reality.
Right. We don't want to have these negative feelings about not accomplishing our goals. That's the worst thing that we could do. Well, I've been talking a bunch. Tell me about goals that you're putting off.
Spending time with your parents. Back
Right.
home, time is flying, and you think I will do this.
Yeah.
You're just keeping it off, and some of us already lost the parents.
Of course. Right.
I think you and I spoke about, trying to sign up kids for some extracurricular
Right.
activities. I've been talking about it since months now. But we will get on to that.
Right.
Yeah.
Opening the book.
Opening the book. That's a very good. It's a long-term project, and the thing is, there's no consequences, right? Theoretically, to your life right now.
Organizing paperwork.
Doing paperwork.
Yeah.
Getting everything organized.
Yeah.
Getting the files all on your computer, all in different places, the right buckets.
Yeah.
Yeah, very hard.
Getting into good habits, like I want to eat chia seeds every day.
Right.
I will do the process until I go and buy it. Once it's at home, to follow that every day, it is little.
That's interesting because this is a phenomenon where you've already rewarded yourself, so you don't continue with the action. And what happens a lot of times is you say you're going to do things, and you get the same benefit in your brain as doing them, and then you never do them. So you tell people I'm going to the gym. I'm going to go to the gym 1 day a week for a month. And then you feel great about it. And then you never do it because you already felt great about it. And so that's that thing where I got my chia seeds. I got it. It's in the pantry. It's good to go. It's it closed it in your mind. You got your reward for it, and there's no more work to be done. That is a phenomenon that exists. Another thing we can do is we can anchor these to regular rituals. So, because the problem is we always say, when I have time, I will get to it, right? and then it never like gets to the top of the list, and then you never have time. We can give it a spot. So we can say on Saturday morning I work on passport stuff. On Sunday night I read. That's what I do. That's what I do. I read for this thing. And so you can even do a reset, like, oh, it's another month that's gone by. On Monday morning, I rewrite my list and I rewrite my goal sheet. Another thing we can do is we can add accountability via external structure. So we can make it real by creating a document, creating a table. We can share it with our spouse or our friend and hold each other accountable. So we can try to make those things real. Another thing we can do is we can accept that there will be times when it's slow. Things move in seasons, things go up and down. Your life gets sometimes very busy and sometimes not busy at all. But the key to work on these things is to stay in touch with the project. That is, don't forget that you have it. Do something a little bit, reconnect with that project, put it on the next piece of your list. When you change lists, you can just work on it a little bit, or just remember that you have to do it. So as you go through the seasons, then when you're not busy, you remember that and you stay connected with that. All right. So what does that have to do with Jainism? You've been talking 30 minutes here. We haven't talked about Jainism once. Right. I could think of nothing more applicable than getting to moksha. It's just like abstract problem. That is, we're not going to get punished for it theoretically, although we do. Right? It's far in the future. It's to a person that you don't even know. And you want to make all this effort. You want to do all this. It's hard. I never said it was easy. It's hard. You want to make all this effort to do what? To get what benefit? Right? There's no feedback loop. There is. We'll get to it, but there is. But we don't recognize it as one. The benefits are kind of abstract. You don't know if they're real or not. A lot of us don't even know if we're a soul or not. There's a lot of cognitive load, those negative feelings I was talking about. We know we're supposed to be doing things. We don't maybe know what we're supposed to be doing. And we know we're not doing them. It's a big problem. It's the biggest long-term project you'll ever have. And it's the furthest one. And it's the slowest moving one. So, but we now know how to tackle it. We now know the steps to tackle this moksha problem. So we gave you 7 steps, so let's talk about it again. Let's go through the list again to tackle the most long-term project you'll ever have. First, we talked about defining the project in finite terms, breaking it up a little bit, right? How can we break up our goal of moksha into little pieces? How can we chunk it?
Maybe starting at macro level and then going down into the micro levels. And
Okay.
That's how you can sequence it rather.
Great. How would we do that? The goal is I want to get to moksha.
First, we need to know what you're supposed to do to get moksha.
Right. You're supposed to get rid of your karma. How can I chunk that?
Start with things like this year, this Parushan, I'm going to do this much.
Right.
And maybe overcoming one at a time, anger, DC,
Yeah.
in that form.
Yeah, there are 8 karmas, right? There's a chunk. There are 4 passions, right? There's a chunk. You can break it up into smaller pieces. How about this? I'll make it easy for you. Work on anger. Work on anger first. You can get rid of your anger in your lifetime. It'll take you less than 1 year to get rid of your anger. I know. I've seen people do it. Okay? If you work on it now, by this time next year, you'll have no anger in your life. So start with that. That's a good first chunk. And it's a great stepping stone because once you get rid of that, it's the easiest one to get rid of. Then you can start working on ego. And then you can start working on deceit and greed. And guess what? You'll work on all the other stuff in the background as you're doing it. So that's a great chunk. I suggest to you that be your first chunk.
Is it possible to 100% get rid of your anger?
It is possible. I've seen people do it. There are people in there in the temple area right now that have done it. It's possible to get rid of 100% of your anger right now in less than a year. It'll take you less than 1 year if you work on it.
I think people in this room need the strategies.
I know. How?
The question is how.
Yeah, we've talked about that, right? Maybe we can talk about it next time too. So, it helps because of all the things we talked about, the chunking. Number 2, we talked about making the progress visible, making the intangible benefits, right, tangible. You can't see your karma. You don't know how much you're getting rid of, right? You can make it visible. You can say, oh, I did pratikaman 2 times this month, right? And you make it visible. You write it down. You just write down your progress. That's writing down your spiritual progress, right? I did meditation 4 times, this quarter. Well, you're writing. That's your spiritual progress that you're writing down, and then you make it visible. And what has been an invisible path that you're on is now a visible path, and then you keep walking along it.
The people, once they started coming out with the fitness watches, and people working out and running, and it tracks minutes, calories, heartbeats, whatever, and then you get to see that history. That actually is, it's like the same thing, but it's a huge impact.
Right. Right. So certainly a meditation counter, certainly a prayer counter, certainly all those things will make an impact. Maybe we can make an app. Everything's an app, right? Maybe we can make a fitness app that's a spiritual progress indicator app. That might be fun.
And there is a good meditation app. I don't know if you're aware of it. It's called Headspace.
Yeah.
It keeps a track of your number of minutes
Guided.
per day. Yeah, for meditation and stuff like that. Yeah.
Even stuff we were talking about anger. Even if you reflect every week, you're like, well, I got angry 3 times this week, and you just wrote it down. And then you reflect, and then maybe 1 week you say, oh, I only got angry once this week, and you just have a little marker that has that. That might make the progress visible. Next, we talk about making things episodic, right? It's hard when you say, well, I just have to do this for the rest of my life. Your mind will reject that, right? What you can do is you can be like, oh, I'm interested in this thing. Let me try it for 30 days, okay? I'm interested in, it could be anything, it's whatever you're interested in. I'm interested in getting rid of my anger. Let me work on it for 30 days. I can focus for that long. And then at the end, I'll call the project done, and we'll move on to another project. Or let me try this meditation thing for 2 weeks or whatever, or something like that. So you break it up into these like little mini projects, and you can be done with it. And once you're done with it, you can be like, that wasn't so great. That really didn't do anything for me. Well, guess what? There's a million other things that you can do with Jainism. Let me try getting rid of all my material possessions, everything I don't need that's cluttering up my life and that's cluttering up my mind. Let me try that. That's a project, right? So we can make it episodic, and we can make it seasonal.
Like when we were young, we used to do in Pathshala, like every day take 1 niyam. So when you can do it 1 day, you feel like, okay, it was not that difficult.
Right.
So let me do one
Right.
little longer. And it's just 1 day project, so you feel like, but it's new ideas, like every day, don't eat salt today, or don't eat sugar today.
I like that. That's perfect for kids, because a day is so long when you're a kid. You would not believe how long 1 day is when you're a kid. And if you switch things every day, that's the right pace. It would be like if we switched things every week. That's how a child would feel, because that 1 day without salt is so long. And then by the time you're done with it, you can't do another day. But the next day is, we're doing no sugar today. Well, that's different. Like, what are we doing? We're doing no phones today. Well, that's different. And so that's great. I think that's perfect for kids. It's a daily kind of thing. And they like variety too. And this is the problem, right? It's like, I got to do this the whole rest of my life, if I want to focus on Jainism, right? It's like, no, you can just do it for a little bit and then just do different things for a little bit. We talked about changing your identity, right? Instead of being like, I want to do this. My goal is to remove karma from my soul. You can be like, I am a person that does what he can to attract less karma. You can just make it part of your identity. And you can, instead of that person that you're trying to help being a stranger in the future, it can be that person you are now. I'm a Jain. I'm a person that works on my passions, right? So we can try to tie it to our identity. And it should be an easy part, right? Because we're all Jains. We consider ourselves Jains. We follow the path of Jainism. It's probably part of your identity somewhat now. So instead of focusing on the outcome, you focus on your identity, on the process of you going through it. Questions or comments about that? Remember, this is the longest, hardest goal you'll ever have. Okay? It's the most abstract. It's the most invisible. It's the furthest in the future. It's the biggest long-term project you'll ever have. And so it's not going to be easy. But these are the methods that we'll use to make it easier. Okay, anchor it to a ritual. We talked about that, right? That's easy, right? For Jainism, we have a lot of rituals. We can be like, every Sunday morning I go to the temple and I do this, and that reminds me I'm a Jain and I'm supposed to be applying this to my life and do that. But here's the thing. Once you're good with that, then you have to add another day. You have to add another time. So then instead of Sunday morning, it has to be like, Friday nights. That's what I do. I have a little station at home. I sit there, I do my rituals, I do my meditation, and then once you have that going, then you have to add another one. Okay? So we talked about introducing external structure and accountability. That's what this is. You're here. Congratulations. You've done it. We're all helping each other along the path. We're all keeping each other accountable. We all know, the most important thing is we all know there are other people doing it. We're not alone. And we're not alone in our goals, and other people are there. They're going through the same things, and they're able to help us when we need help. And then we talked about seasonal review. Every few months you review what you're doing. And sometimes it doesn't work for you, even though the book says it's supposed to work for you. So just get rid of it. There's a billion different things you can do to walk along the spiritual path. And people come at it from different ways. Some people like the 5 vows. Some people like the 4 passions. Some people like the 8 karma. Some people like the samitis. Some people like, it's whatever you want to do. Because you'll get to everything eventually once you start with what you like to do. And so try to figure that out. Try to figure out what type of person you are. I'm the type of person that message of non-attachment resonates very deeply within me because I know it to be true and I understand it very well. So I'm working on that, and then that creates revelations into other parts of my life. Well, am I attached to these emotions? Am I attached to these good emotions? Am I attached to beyond material things? Am I attached to different things? And so you'll get there from the kashayas, you'll get there from the karma, you'll get there from the 5 vows, you'll get there from anywhere. So it's good. It's good to know yourself in that respect. Questions or comments? Okay, tell me about more long-term goals you're putting off. Besides this one. This one's the longest one we're putting off. Tell me, do you think, has this stimulated your mind into putting anything in practice for those long-term goals?
The one you said just about anger.
Yeah.
Work on your anger.
Yeah. A lot of people didn't know that. They were surprised in this room when I said, well, you could eliminate it from your life. You can. It's the easiest one.
I like the chunking idea.
Yeah. What do you want to chunk in your life?
Well, they're minor stuff, but I got all this junk in our garage and no space to put things. Everything's in the wrong place over the years, and I'm like, I need to redo that, but that's like 2 weekends of work. But
Yeah.
probably can chunk it. Get one corner at a time.
Right.
You got 2 little spaces and one corner at a time.
Right.
But that
Problem
was
with decluttering, sometimes you take it out from one place, you put it at the other place, and then that place, rather than just getting rid of it,
Yes.
You just move the mess. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what we do is every third Monday is our bulk collection. So we have put it in the calendar. So it gives us alerts on Saturday, Sunday. So if we
Yeah.
have something, we make an effort. Okay, put it outside. There's a truck gonna come and take it away.
Right.
So there are things like that that help us, right? And for garage, like we also had the same problem. So we put it off because it's so hot to work in the summer months. Now the temperature's gone down, so we put an alert. Okay,
Right.
clean the garage, clean the garage. And it does happen because
Yeah.
now the weather is good. You can go out longer and work in the garage.
Yeah. I have a dirty garage too. I think we all have that.
I have a different question. Do we have like a toy drive or anything for holidays coming up? Toy drive? Here?
Try or two.
In there?
We don't. So if you want one, then you have to lead it because you had the idea. Now you're in charge.
I can just give idea. I'm not idea.
We have plenty of idea
We
persons.
believe in you. Come on, Puna. You can do it.
It sounds like you're passionate about it, so I hate to break it to you.
She will not talk it.
No more suggestions.
So I think one of the big things that plays a role in achieving goals is focus, right? And I'm sure everybody in the room will attest to it that we all have been pretty scarred with all the digital distractions we've got, which really creates that lack of focus, right? And I'm reading a book recently. It's called Limitless. It's a very good book. It's by Jim Quick, and in that he talks about a technique called a Pomodoro technique, and it's about chunking. You know, the human brain is not capable of doing extreme focus beyond 25 minutes at a time. So in what it says in that book is create those chunks, focused effort, work, create chunks of that in 25-minute windows, and then take a 5-10 minute break after those 25 minutes, and then get back to it. Right, and then when you tie this to Jainism, right, things that we actually have, like fasting, it actually it's been scientifically proven that actually helps increase your focus over the long term. So while you apply Pomodoro techniques for 25-minute chunks, with Jainism you can increase that 25 minutes to even longer time period, right? So that your individual brain has the capacity to focus for longer than a typical human being is capable of.
That's great.
So I think that's when you're talking about tying to Jainism, right? To me, that was the first thing that came to my mind. That why do we have such things in Jainism? Is because of, I think ultimately it's about focus and discipline, and
Right.
once you get that, in my opinion, like you can achieve any goal that you desire to achieve, right?
Yeah, maybe we can expand it to 48 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
And that way we concentrate for that long.
Yeah.
There's an app
Do you
for
mind
Pomodoro.
putting that on the group?
There is an app.
Yeah, I'm pretty
Pomodoro
sure
app.
we use it. Yeah.
Pomodoro app is there,
Do
so
you
you
mind
can do the
putting
same
the
thing.
name of the book?
Yeah, I will ping it on the group for sure.
I think the other part that kind of hinders our progress in my mind is the digital media, right? So you put this in the app and you're focusing and working on it, but it's still on the phone or somewhere that may take your focus away. I was thinking the other day, like, for grandparents, great grandparents, they did a lot of religion activities and they were really good at it, what they did. And I see my dad is still doing it, and they write it down, but they have simple book, like there's what is it, 1 lakh naukar ke 10 lakhs naukars to be done in the lifetime, and they just write like one at a time, right? So it focuses, it gives them focus. It is a visual radiator that tells you like how much progress you made, and at the end of the day, it comes out to be a non-digital media probably may help, at least from my
100%.
side, than actually doing it to the apps and all that. Yeah, app will help for a lot of different tracking, like a health app. You can't do that to the hands, but things like this bigger goals that we want to chunk it in smaller, you would like to see something always in front of you, and you cross it out, you add 1, 2, whatever you want to do, and that will clearly show the progress, not just to you but the whole family, that you're tracking that, right?
That's very interesting because on some level, even if you have a digital device that helps you with your fitness or something like that, on some level, because of our human brain, it's not real. And we don't perceive it as real. And I have that problem with work. You know, I end my day at work, and I'm like, what did I do today? Nothing. I clicked the mouse a few times, I hit the keyboard a few times. I didn't do anything real. And it makes me feel negatively, even though I might have created a document, even though I might have done very good work that day. My brain is telling me it's not real, and it's making me feel bad for doing something not real, for wasting my time. That's why a lot of people that work in an office in front of a computer, they have hobbies where you make things with your hands, you know, to at least it feels good to make something real, right? And so that's our kind of problem, is maybe that our parents and grandparents didn't have, is this, well, we put a layer of unreality on top of reality, and now we're just living in that layer instead of the physical layer. And so we need to try to spend more time in the physical layer, and that will help us accomplish the things we want to accomplish, because we unfortunately have to work with the brain that the body has, that our soul is trapped in.
One more thing which can help is, like, some people they thrive in social environments. Like, so my husband always follow that. Like, if you want to do the documentation, like filling up the form for passport, some of friends also needs to do that, but everyone is lacking this, like having the same issue. So he researched and he put it on the group that I'm going to do this. So everybody gets little motivation, and then other is putting his input or her input, and that way all of the group will move forward to that project.
That's great. You know, I'm like that. When I was filling out the form for my kid's passport, I asked my wife to come help. And she said, yeah, I'll come help. I didn't know that you would need help filling out a form for the passport. But no, it's like, no, I don't need help with that. I need you to sit there. I need you to keep me company while I do this thing. And it's because I need you to see that I'm working for the family. And I need you to validate my filling out this form. And I need you maybe to praise me after I'm done with it. I don't need your help. I need you to sit there. And that's the same thing, right? Because we are social people, we need other people to see what we're doing. We need other people to help us, to push us along.
See, my problem is the same thing. I've been telling him to do my OCF one for like 6 months. We have been pushing to each other for a year now.
Telling is different from helping. Yeah. That's totally different.
I think we are going back towards anger issue.
No.
So you need to work on that.
Long goal, long term.
That is going to be the longest route.
He will say, don't tell anybody else to do it yourself.
I don't know how people do it in 1 year. Hats off to them. Anger in a year.
Anger in a year?
Yeah.
Less than a year.
Yeah. You can get rid of your anger in less than a year. I've seen people do it. And that's the thing. We don't like to be alone, right? And so It's fun to do things together, even if it's chores. It's easier to do it together.
I agree. Because then you don't feel you're doing alone or you are the only one doing it, right? Then everyone else is doing it.
Even
Right.
if somebody comes and stands and talk, then also it's fine, I guess.
Right.
So a comment around anger, and I think I brought up several classes ago is when you are in a professional work environment, you still have to drive goals and you have deliverables to deliver and whatnot, and then you are working with people, and sometimes your expectation doesn't align with how they perform and all that. One of the ways I've started doing, right or wrong, I don't know, but I tend to not look at some things, right? Turn blind eye, because I know that's going to make me upset if I get involved. Okay.
Right.
So I guess I've started accepting that there is going to be some level of leakage in terms of quality of work or money or whatever you say, and just not do that. Like I have like 4 offices in Houston, so I'll just not go to the office that day where I'm like, there is this meeting going on, let them figure it out, and if they mess it up, they mess it up, and just go to a different office where I can focus on my thing, and things doesn't work out. But I thought that was pretty good in a way that maybe not best for the company, but again, you are not getting upset that or you are removing the probability.
So you're just avoiding the issue.
So that's what I was going to say. That's what I'm saying. It's not right, wrong, I don't know. But
Do you do this at home too?
It's like
I think Kushbu does that at home.
rather it should be, you
got
should
3
be
kids,
there
I'm
and
gonna
still
ignore
not
this
get
one.
upset, or rather give some input to it.
Which would be the ideal case. But I thought maybe that's one way where leave the team alone and it is what it is. Accept some level of difference between expectation and reality, because I think we did talk about expectation quite a bit, where we put expectation, we expect everybody to be the A player on our team, which is not the reality, and I think that's where it comes
And
back
the
to.
habit of micromanaging. So basically at home, at professional level, if you have habit of micromanaging things, that always brings disappointment.
Which is again expectation
Again, you're
because
attached
you
to
want it
feelings.
certain way.
Yeah, and
right?
then those feelings come in, and then that nature is there sometimes in some of us, where we just look at those micro levels, and that just brings disturbance to the whole goal system, I feel.
Right. And so what he's talking about is actually how we should implement Jainism in our life. We should not let the perfect be the enemy of the good. We should be forgiving of ourselves. And if things aren't going okay, if we didn't do the pratikaman perfectly, if we just lasted 30 minutes instead of 48 minutes, that's all right. Well, we'll just try better next time, And it's okay to do that. And it's okay to, if that's the kind of progress we make on our spiritual path, that's okay. And that will help us in the long term.
So do something rather than doing nothing.
It's choose the battle, like focus on good thing, then let go.
Questions or comments about anything we talked about?
I like the thing that you mentioned about detachment with the feelings, because if you want to work on your anger for within a year or a time frame that you're going to decide for yourself, that is the first thing I would start to bring into my routine, is detaching yourself with the feelings of whatever happens in your daily life.
Right. So detaching yourselves from your feelings. Where do your feelings come from? Right, they come from attachments. But I guess maybe the question was, that's what causes the feelings. But what produces the feelings?
Expectation.
Well, what physical part of your body? Where are feelings in your body? Heart?
Brain.
Did somebody say heart? The feelings are not in your heart.
There was too many Bollywood movies. That's what
Right, it's in your brain.
3.5 hours movies. All Bollywood coming out.
Okay. Right, your feelings are produced by the brain, right? Are there physical reactions in the brain? Yes, right? And they're hormonal, and they are physical things that are in the real world. Is any of that you? Why is that a question so hard? That should be a very easy question. No, it's not you. Your body's not you. Your feelings not you. Your brain's not you. None of it is you.
You're just soul.
Right.
It might be
And
fake
so-
of you. It might
Well, unfortunately not. It seems like it, though. That's the thing. It really seems like it. It really seems like I am a person. It really seems like feelings are real and they're not chemicals in the brain because of subjective experience. But it's all an illusion. And it's so hard. It's so hard to even get a glimpse of how that could possibly be true. Because we're so immersed in our feelings. And our brain has enslaved us so completely that we believe in that illusion. And so that's why it's so hard for you to even speak the right answer, though you may know it, because it sounds wrong. And one of the first ways to start dealing with your anger is to start realizing that it's not you. It's something completely different from you. It's how your brain is trying to enslave you. It's one of the pillars of illusion that is trapping you. And so once we can start to realize that, these are all just tips and tricks I use to help you know. It's like if we were in a war and I had the most ridiculous, poor, out-of-date weapons, and my enemy has, these nuclear missiles. That is like what we're fighting with here. We're fighting with sticks and stones against a very developed enemy that has already been winning for lifetimes. Okay? And so that's how hard it is. And so when I say, you can get rid of your anger in a year, that's true. It is very hard. And the first thing you should do is to realize that it's not you. And it has nothing to do with you.
But then his strategy of just ignoring the problem is probably the right way to go. Does not make it your problem.
No. So it's a little bit different. It's ignoring the problem is different from accepting that we're not perfect. Okay? So these are different things.
You can't ignore the problem. The problem's
But
still
isn't
there.
his problem? That should be the first question, right?
He's working on the problem, but he's accepting that the solutions are not ideal and it's not the way he would do things, and maybe they get 80% of the way there. It's not ignoring the problem.
But his strategy is right though, like that just being able to accept that it's not going to be perfect.
No.
He said to
Acceptance is
not
different.
get upset, right?
Acceptance is different than not being involved. That's like two different things, right? Like you're just ignoring it is one thing, but
he's accepting it by like not getting involved.
it's one thing to be there and not be involved, right? Like I go to a lot of meetings, I sit on a lot of boards, I have a lot of dynamic people, right? That start from young age and are much senior, especially even now here, right? It is very complicated. But if you just take a step back and just listen, okay? You're there. There are a lot of times I want to check out, but I don't do that because I think that that's not the right thing. If you can just focus, right? And just take a step back and say, okay, this guy wants to do it this way. We usually do it this way. Let's try it. We're not there to make them fail. We're there to make them succeed with us together, right? That's a team, right? But when you think about it the other way, that you're like, all right, you know what, let him go do what he wants, but we'll pick it up when, they fail. That's the wrong mentality of creating the team, at least in my life of doing that, and saying that. So I think that you have to be supportive. I think you have to be there. People have to know that you are confident in them. They're looking for confidence. Like even our kids, right? They're looking for, my daughter's in college and she calls me and she's like, hey dad, what do you think I should do? She's looking for reassurance that what am I doing is right or is the right path. Now there will be times that she doesn't ask me and she'll ask me after the fact, right? That, I did this and this is what happened and this was the outcome. I can't say, well, why didn't you call me beforehand? Although I may be thinking that, where was I in all of this? But that's how they grow, right? That's how they all grow to go do that. And we grew like that. Someone trusted us to bring us to that level.
So you're saying just support them in whatever they want to do.
Not support. You can just say, okay, whatever went wrong, it's done. Now thinking ahead and get a solution for that, whatever went wrong. if we can.
But if you have a different solution than them, right?
Again, that will be discussed. Okay, they already did something, and that's why now they're looking at
person
it.
You're talking about something
We are
tactical.
ignoring you, right?
You're saying I want to do it this way versus you doing it that way. I'm not saying that. I'm saying forget the tactical way. Take a step back and say, okay, the goal is this. We want to reach this. How do you believe we can reach this? For example, we want to build a new temple. Okay, yeah, we need a shovel and we need money and we need this and we need this. Let's take a step back and understand what we want to go do first, right? And let's progress through that thought process of where we are. Then the tactical stuff, well, someone may want to use this way and that way. At the end of the day, our goal is the same, to reach that end, right, of doing something. So I think that's probably a really good example of everyone wanting to do the right thing, everyone wanting to be involved, but having a different thought process of getting there.
And in that, I think that Jainism perception, like be in someone else's shoes. Like sometimes some people think this way because
very
their background was
And
like
also
this.
you.
So that's why they are thinking this way. So we have to accept that as well.
Right.
Of course, I feel like I'm right, but that person might be right too.
Right.
Something like that.
But kind of like what Timur said earlier, everyone's ultimate goal is moksha. It's like what you tackle first, the karma versus me.
Yeah.
Whichever way you
Whatever
say,
way,
right?
the end goal is same.
And ego comes after anger, right? So that's ego.
So just one comment. So I think we are, what I said, now that I get chance to say what I said. So I
We
was,
know what you said.
I'm also trying to figure out what did I say. So see, there are two. I think there is a slight difference in what I think I was trying to say. I'm not saying I'm ignoring it. I know very well there is a problem, but I'm deciding to let my team figure it out because I don't want to be part of everything and put my expectation and micromanage, because that's when the stress comes in. And like I said, when I do that, I do it purposefully, where I say there is going to be some leakage in terms of what happens, right? In terms of whether it's going to be quality of work or efficiency or cost or whatever. But that's the acceptance, just so that they also get chance to do their piece the way they want to do, and they learn. Sometimes I learn, right? I'm like, oh, what I was thinking maybe was not right. They have a better way to do it. But I think giving that space, otherwise you can only do so much, right? That's also the other part. So it's not ignoring, it's accepting that it is okay for someone to have different way of doing things. Same thing with our kids as well, right? Sometimes you have to let them learn through their way.
Yeah.
It's I always use this analogy with my son, horse water, where I'm like, hey, I told you 3 times. Now you do it and see how it works out for you. And sometimes they do it well. Sometimes they'll say, yeah, he should have listened to me. So it's the accepting piece.
Years ago, I was in Brownsville, and our company was growing like crazy. And I used to go to work on Saturday and Sundays and try to figure out how to create this team, right, that could support what I was trying to do. So I had this mentor that's actually in Houston, and I was asking him. I said that, how do you think I can hire someone so good, just like me? He's like, first, your expectations were. He's like, if there was someone like you, they would be competing with you. Why would they work for you, right? So I was like, okay. So what are you telling me? He's like, listen, in our business, if you can find someone that is 50% as good as you are, you did great. I said, how is that even possible, right? Like, because I'm expecting 100% that, hey, this guy should be, who am I gonna hire? He should be able to do this. He's like, you still don't get it. So that allowed me to think differently, that, you know what? Maybe he's right. Maybe we need someone just to do this part, and maybe we need someone else to do this part, right? And it allowed us to grow because we were looking for, I guess, industry experts specifically for something rather than a generalist that was trying to go do everything. So it's just a different, especially at work, it's really challenging, right? Because everyone wants to they want to show their just of being there, right? Of why they add value, right? And sometimes it's just noise. And so I think what Kaushik's saying is also right. I think if you set the right expectation for your group and then walk away and let them work on it and then come back, I think that's still supportive. But ignoring it is not a solution problem. Like, if you know there's a problem, there's a fire, you don't let them drown in it, Doesn't
Yeah,
work
you have
out,
to
right?
do it within reasons.
Yeah.
Well, that's our time for this week. Thank you so much for coming this week. I really appreciate that.